Hey guys, for today, or for these extra videos, I was just going to work a couple problems off of your assignments. That's what I did in class, and so I want to do the same for you. So I'm going to pick a couple off of this assignment. And first off, I had made the decision, you do not have to do number one. If you already did, great. If not, don't worry about it. I want you to focus your time and energy on these actual application problems. So we've got our vertical motion formula, and in our word problem, we've got a firework launched from an 80-foot tower with a velocity of 64 feet per second. Now, I have enough to write my vertical motion model. Vertical motion model just means write the equation. So I've got negative 16 t squared plus, what were we told the velocity was? 64 feet. S is your start height. So what's the height of the rocket? 80 foot. Okay. Now to find our vertex. So here's for part B. To find our vertex, my equation in A is standard form, so I'm going to do my little form. I'm going to first find x by doing my little baby formula. So I would have negative 64 over 2 times, what's A? Negative 16. So then I get, negative 64 over negative 32, which gives me positive 2. So that's the x value of my vertex, comma. How do we find the y? We plug in our x. And we get 144. Okay, so that's the y value of my vertex. Now, here's what you need to remember. Look at our formula. We have h of t and t, and I just used x and y. Well, x is your time. Y is your h, which is height. So now on part C, when it says when does the rocket reach its max height, when is time. When did we find the max height? That was at 2 seconds. How high will it go? That's your height, which we found was 144 feet. Now part E, how long will it take for the debris to hit the ground? Well, how long? Yes, that's time. Hitting the ground means that my height is 0. So how I do this for part E, I'm going to take my equation, my negative 16 t squared plus 64 t plus 80, and I'm going to set it equal to 0 and factor. All of these, when you go to factor, you will be able to take out a GCF, a greatest common factor. So I'm going to try negative 16 and see if I can take that out of all of those. 64 divided by negative 16, yep, that works, negative 4. And then 80 divided by negative 16, negative 5. This is now a whole lot prettier of a formula to try and factor. A times C. Well, the only factors of 5 are 1 and 5. If I make the 5 negative, that will give me my negative 4. Then I group. That's ugly. So now my factors are t minus 5, t plus 1, but remember, this is all still equal to 0, so my factors are not my answers. They're what I use to get my answers. So I'm going to set each factor equal to 0, and I'm going to solve them. I end up with t equals 5 and t equals negative 1. Here's where you have to think a little bit. T is time. Does negative time exist? So far to my knowledge, no. So T equals 5 is the only answer I'm going to use. So how long after the launch will the rocket debris hit the ground? 5 seconds. Okay. Let's do one more off of this because this one's just a little bit different. We'll just do number 3 and then check out the next video, and I will do a couple problems off of the B assignment. So again, writing our vertical motion model, that's our h of t equals negative 16 t squared plus velocity. Well, upward velocity of 48, so there's my velocity, plus my start height. It says that I'm doing this from the ground. So the ground is a height of 0. Now part B, to get my vertex, this is not any different than the first one I did. Negative b over 2a and then to get the y from the x, we plug it in. And we get 36. Oops, closed my parentheses too soon, didn't I? So remember, in this problem, for this equation, what does t stand for? Time. So x is my time, y is my height. So on part C, when does the basketball reach its maximum height? That happened at 1.5 seconds. How high did the basketball go? That's the 36 feet. Now, part E is the reason why I wanted to go ahead and work this additional one, because I still want to know hitting the ground. So that means my height is 0. I'm going to set my equation equal to 0. And I wanted to do this one because several of you are still getting a little stuck when there's no C value. If I put a plus 0 and I take A times C, I get 0, and I don't know how to factor that. Okay? When we only have the 2 terms, you go straight to grouping. What can I take out of negative 16 and 48? Hey, negative 16 actually comes out of both, and they share a t, which then would leave me t minus 3. Now I'm going to set my 2 factors equal to 0, and I'm going to solve for time. Now, in this case, t is still time. Time can be 0, but this one says, if no one catches the ball, how long before it will hit the ground? Well, it's not going to hit the ground in 0 seconds. That means it was never launched. So how long